Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're going to be doing a little Mediterranean taco tonight, doing some low carb options. I showed you guys earlier how to make a quick dressing. So we're going to take that same dressing that we used on the lamb burgers that I saw you guys, some of you may have seen on the Instagram, and I'm going to post a recipe for that. It's so super simple. We're going to take that dressing, mix it with a few more additives, and then we're going to have some great Mediterranean type tacos. So this is a quick, easy meal you can be doing. We're going to be using tonight the Vitamix A2500 system, and I'm going to be using our food processor with that. It's a great little system. And before we do anything, we're going to go ahead and start a quick marinade for our tacos. And all that's going to involve is some lemon juice. So we're going to cut our lemon up. We're going to season it with just some salt, some pepper, and it's going to take a couple of minutes. And then we're just going to give it some quick heat and some olive oil. Nothing too hot, nothing too crazy. So this is a great juicing Meyer lemon we've got here. When you're using your Vitamix and your tools and such, cooking needs to be fun, quick, and easy. Shouldn't be like you have to spend hours and hours prepping and doing things. Most of my prepping was trying to get this video together. So we got some salt and some pepper, and the reason we're being so simple is the dressing itself. For those of you who took a look at the previous video, and I'm actually going to post a little link in here to the dressing recipe. It already has quite a bit of things. It's got cucumbers in it, it's got cilantro, it's got red bell peppers, and it was finely diced with the food processor. And we did a really fine dice on that because we wanted it to be easy to eat, and that way you could really, coat those burgers in it and feel really luxurious, but it's very light. And so we made quite a bit of it. It's got some goat cheese, some good stuff in that one. So I'm just going to put a little more lemon juice on this side. And that juice really will start to cook the fish. And we're just using plain old tilapia. Nothing too expensive, nothing too crazy. So just quick coating right in there. I'm going to go ahead and set a few things to the side. Another tip that'll make your life a little easy, when you make things like these dressings that can be used in several different recipes, go ahead and don't be afraid to make a batch. They'll last a couple of days, or you could even freeze them. It won't hurt anything. And that way, you can already have that little 5-minute step ready to go. Now, the Vitamix makes stuff so quick, so easy that, you'll just go crazy. So you're going to see what I mean here in a second. As we set everything to the side here, or to the front, and we're going to just make some room so you guys can see. I'm going to go ahead in my cut bowl, set that here. So our food processor is very, very, very fast. And for those of you who may have found this channel by accident or a friend referred you, I'm going to go ahead and preface, if you didn't already read it in the bio, I do work for Vitamix, so I don't want to be misleading to you all. And I love working for the company. It's a great company, and we've got a really awesome product that for somebody like me who loves to cook is just a whole game changer. So I'm going to set this over in my cut bowl up here. So I do a little cut bowl, kind of like we do at work. It makes it a lot easier to clean up later. So I just kind of set some things back behind me to get a few things out of the way so you guys can see a little bit better. And then I'm going to show you, I'm just going to toss this a bit. Just Make sure everything's nice and coated. And then I want to show you guys how much this cooks even before we hit it on the stove. Because we really are not going to do anything more than like 5 minutes on that fish. That's the max for me. Now with this onion, this is a very strong red onion. I like one that's a little softer. The particular place I got this one at was I don't know, for some reason theirs were very strong. We're going to work with it anyway. And it's fine with this particular recipe if you do happen to get an onion that's not as sweet as you would prefer. You've got some very cooling things in the recipe, especially with that dressing having cucumber and some of the nightshade elements, like we're going to be using tomatoes and things like that. So you have a few things that are going to calm it down anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and slice it down the middle here. Because we're not going to chop this one, we're actually going to do some very fine slices. I'm going to be using the food processor here, and we're doing the thin slice blade. We're also going to slice up some lettuce and get some very fine shreds here. And I'm just going to kind of scoop my baby over in here and turn her on. Now when you're working with the food processor, it only has one speed, and that speed's very fast. So what I want to do with that, I'm going to turn it, and can't use it on the preset, you'll have to use it with the numbers. So make sure she's on. So you see how she has those little lines that are here. Hopefully you guys can see it here. When it's those 3 dot lines, it means that something's not quite connected, which is fine because I don't have something connected. This is what we're going to use to kind of push everything down. This little part right here has to make connection into the back of your food processor, or nothing's going to go right. Also, if you don't have your lid snapped properly, that Smart Tech technology is going to say it's a no-go. So those are little things, don't freak out. So you see how this is nice and round? We're going to go this side in, and we're going to do some fine slicing and get some great shreds on our lettuce. So that was so quick, super quick. Now you use slicing for the lettuce because you can't properly shred that lettuce like that. When you try to do the shredding on lettuce, just so you know, if you're unfamiliar with the food processor, it's going to end up looking like hot mush. Even though you are shredding the lettuce, just remember you're going to use slicing when you're doing food processor, and it's going to come out like these really nice shreds. All right, so we're going to actually mix this with that sauce that we made. So I'm going to go ahead and do some slicing now on the onions. And we're going to do the onions as well, and I'm going to have them sliced in together. And the thing about this is you're getting that nice, I like the red cabbage and the red onions. I even grow purple kale, those kind of things. I like to use the more colorful things because those are going to have some more antioxidants, some better health benefits, things like that. So you're getting a lot more nutrients. The more, think about a taste of rainbow, and not quite like Skittles, but a lot healthier than those. So we're going to taste the rainbow with our fruits and vegetables. So don't be afraid to get the brighter colors, the purples, the oranges, things like that. You need them. So again, you see how this is that direction? We don't want to do vertical, we're going to do horizontal. We're going to put it in there because we want to give that nice, again, a nice slice of those. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to show you the pulse setting. The pulse setting is nice if you're unfamiliar with how fast this can go. So watch this. So this kind of lets you cheat, so you get a little handle on how to handle this. All right, so got those. And what's nice about this is you can also serve from this bowl if we're going to serve from it. But I'm actually just going to take everything and we're going to mix it all together now. So we did half of an onion and half of a small head of the red cabbage. I'm going to put it in the cut bowl up here. And we're going to go ahead and put this. So closed cabinets there. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in a container, a little to-go container, a little Tupperware, just because I know I'm gonna have a lot left over. So there's no need to fancy bowl it. We'll have some to use for other recipes. And you can see the nice cuts on the onions there. So we shredded them right into the cabbage. So you have some nice flavor in there as well. And just kind of use your hands. Of course, you want to make sure your fingers and your hands are nice and clean before you serve to your family. You know, I'm just working off of advice. Don't be serving with dirty hands. So, yeah, I know you guys are better than that. So I'm going to set that to the side 1 second. Before I go and mix this with my sauce, we'll do one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and heat my cast iron up. So I'm just going to be doing some quick sear with the cast iron. And then we're going to do some tomatoes. And I'm doing those separate because we're going to top it with the tomatoes. So I'm just using, it's kind of a crepe pan. I go between cast iron and hexaclad. They're the two things that I use. Both conduct heat really well. You're going to get a nice even cook. But because I'm doing a quick searing, I'm just going to use a little more heat here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I'm going to be using some avocado oil to make sure that it gets that high heat, because avocado oil can handle a little more heat than, say, olive oil. So got that on the oven. Letting it do its thing. Or on the stove, I should say. And we're just going to rinse these real quick. As you notice, I've got my nice soapy water over here. So we're just gonna give it a dip going clean. Oh, and that's my kitty Gunner. Gunner is in the background, y'all. You're gonna hear him in just a second, because on cue, oh yes, he has opened the door. He is here. There it goes. He likes to make his presence known. So if you hear a kitten in the background, this is about the stage where he always shows up in the videos. If you go back and listen to a few of them, I kind of cut him out, but he likes to have an appearance. So I'm just gonna let him have his moment. If you hear him, we're just gonna pretend like he ain't got nothing to say. So for the taco shells tonight, by the way, we're gonna be using the low carb, low balance taco. These are really nice. Gonna give them some quick heat as well. We do a quick soft taco with that. So before, I'm gonna put that to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and dip that in the water. These are very easy to clean, by the way. And don't be as careless as me. Always use the little finger holes here. They're for your protection. So you're just gonna dip them in. You just twirl it around, make sure your water's nice and hot, and then set them to the side. Super easy to clean. So we got our bowls of tomatoes. We don't need all of those. It's only 2 people eating tonight. Alright, so let's chop some tomatoes up real quick. And we're just going to do a light chop, so we're going to use the pulse setting because I don't want to really get any small dicing, because we're going to top with these. Now you can get all fancy and, you know, de-seed and all that stuff, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. I'm just not. Because these are going to go right on, and I like all that flavor in there. So you can do this with Romas. I'm using Campari's. So just about the chunk you want, those nice chunks right there. And I'm going to season these here in a second. Those are really ripe. They're so good. If you buy your tomatoes from a grocer, most likely they're not fully ripe. So what I'm going to suggest is that you buy them, let them sit for about a week to 2 days. If you put them in a brown bag with like an apple, they will start to ripen a little bit more. Now we're in the season where we got a lot of garden fresh tomatoes and stuff happening, which is a lot nicer. So hit up your neighbor who may be growing, or a local roadside. My favorite is the farmer's market. We got some great ones. I love the buy local. It's here, and the buy local farmer's market is here in Humble. They meet at the Grove, I think I want to say at 3 o'clock to 7 on Thursdays, and then I want to say 8 or 9, you can look it up. But they are at Fall Creek. And they've got some great vendors. All of them grow personally. The person who runs it goes out there, visits them, so they're very legit. Some places you have to be careful with farmers market, because some places will be like, oh, it's a farmers market, and then if you're not doing your research, you find out they're actually buying from mass-produced places and not local farms. And the food, you might as well be buying in a grocery store. They like to do that, some people do, and they will overcharge you because you don't know that they are actually not a locally produced farm. You think you're buying from a private farmer. I was actually watching a documentary, or a quick segment actually. I think it was a Box TV, but I'll look that up for y'all. About how in Canada, they actually are starting to create more laws to protect people, because they're finding more and more people are being exploited. As people are becoming more food conscious, distributors and things are getting smarter and going to farmers markets and, showing up where you are, trying to eat better and be better, and really just targeting, people who are genuinely trying to do better, and exploiting you by selling you the same food at a higher price, and you thinking you're buying something fresh that's been picked fresh by a local person, and it's really deceptive. So try to find farmers markets where you have real farmers. That's pretty good. So for those of you who are in like the Houston area and stuff, if you go, pardon me. Now, I'm not very familiar with the south side because I live on the north side, but I know as you go closer to Huffman, Dayton, especially out in Dayton, you're going to find a lot more farmers, a lot more farmland. And it's really not that far for most people, even though it sounds like, we're out here in Huffman and Dayton and all these places. They're really local Houston places. When you're anywhere in Houston, you're going to drive 40 minutes to an hour. So what's the difference? But that's just my little tip on buying local and how to, protect yourself. Because we're in an age where people are becoming more and more aware, and so are salesmen, and you've got to know what's out there. So we're going to set these tacos, this little sauce to the side. And this is a Mediterranean one. It's not like a messy, juicy one. And we're just going to go ahead, set that to the side. Got everything like we want it. And our skillet's nice and hot. Position is better. So, yes, Gunner. Gunner has a lot to say, y'all. You can hear him in the background, making his presence known. He's like, you started the video without me. You thought I wasn't going to be here. He's like that actor that showed up in the Fighting Temptation? Like, I'm here, y'all. Anyway, so if you look here, the meat has already started to cook. That citric acid is going to give you some nice sear already. It's going to give you some nice cook. That's why we're going to be able to sear this really quickly. So I'm using some chosen olive oil. This is I didn't say avocado oil. And why I said olive oil is on the brain. I was just listening to something with olive oil. Avocado oil has a higher cook temp than olive oil. Olive oil we love, but when you cook it too high, you're going to ruin the oil. So you want to do something like avocado or grapeseed. Those are two. Do not use vegetable oil. Vegetable oil is actually very bad for you, and you want to kind of avoid those. So I would take you over to the stove, but this is going to be so quick. and I'll be right back. So while those are doing a quick sear, we're going to go ahead and prep our taco shells. Now, with our taco shells, you can do it one or two ways. You can do it in the skillet, but I like to kind of wrap them in a quick paper towel that's a little damp. I felt something like was gonna happen. And we're gonna just kind of make them nice, soft tacos. And the reason we want the tacos to be wrapped in like a nice damp cloth is because we're not gonna dry them out. We wanna warm them up, but not dry them out. When you do the flour tacos, this is just a little trick. Always dampen your paper towel. You don't want it soaking wet, but you want it nice and damp. And we're only gonna put it in there for like a minute or so. Just get a nice plate. Now, if you have a taco, one of those taco warmers, even the little rice warmer things are nice. You can kind of put them in that as well, the little steamers. But we're just gonna wrap it up just like this. Put it in the center. It's not too wet because we're not trying to wet them. We're gonna do about 6 of them. Not even a full 2 minutes. You've got a nice cook on the fish all the way through. The fish is not too dry, not overcooked. So as you can see, I'm having to move faster than the law allows because everything's like cooking really well. So I'm just gonna keep these wrapped for 30 seconds is all I put them in there for. I'm gonna keep them wrapped. This is nice and warm. Check them out. If you feel like if they're not warm enough, of course you can go ahead and put them another in there. But we're not trying to have a dry meal. We want everything tasting fresh and light. Fresh and light is the thing. Once you start to see the steam kind of cook off your fish a bit, go ahead and flip it. Just a nice browning on the side. Nothing too intense. So while those are cooking, I wish I had those little taco holder things. I don't know if you guys see them. I love those. But I'm not that fancy. One day, I see them all the time and think, oh, I should get them. And then I go, oh, I'm not going to really use them. And then I make tacos. And then I'm like, oh, I do make enough tacos. Blah, blah, blah. One day, one day. Now you can get a knife and cut these, but I'll just break it apart with my fingers because it's really simple. They're already ready to go. So about 2 pieces of tilapia is all you're doing. It's very simple. And you can top this with some cilantro if you want to. It's your call. So good. And all your fish is done that quickly. I'm telling you, it took more time to pull out everything and set up the lights and stuff, y'all, than it did to do any of this. This is a quick, easy meal. Even making the sauce really doesn't take that much time. And I'm just kind of using my fingers again. You're cooking for family. Let's not pretend that we don't use our fingers when we are cooking for our family. Which I hate those videos where people are like, oh yeah, like y'all really don't be doing all that. But that's cute. Plus, I like to touch the food, feel it. You know, the textures, make sure everything the right temp and stuff. And you can only do that when you're cooking with your fingers. Fancy gloves are nice, but you can get a little dirty in the kitchen. It's okay. So again, And these nice chunks of tomato, we're just gonna put over in there. And I'm gonna put just a tad more sauce on there too. Oh, this came out beautifully, y'all. It's a really beautiful plate. And I'm just getting a little more sauce, not too much. Here's where you could also throw a little more cilantro on there if you wanted to. I'm just not, because I put a lot in the sauce itself. And I don't want to overpower all the other really cool flavors from the goat cheese and what have you. You know. But if you want a more overpowering kind of really cilantro-esque taste, you're welcome to do it that way. And I hope this gives you some ideas too of what to do with the food processor. For those of you who have it or are thinking about it, or just like, I don't know if the food processor is going to be my jam. You know, so how quickly everything was chopped up, you know, slicing and dicing. And you can make some really great meals for your family, or yourself, or your pets, or whomever, in seconds. Few tips and tricks. And if you do that trick with your fish too, for those of you who are like a little intimidated by fish, maybe you've tried to cook it before and you got it super dry, or you know, don't like the coating, or just don't know how to work with it a little more, sauteing it first, marinating it, pardon me, terminology there, marinating it. And it didn't take that long, maybe 5 minutes worth of marinade in some like citric. Any citric would do. So if you're not a fan of lemon, you can do oranges. Though I've never done oranges with fish, but generally if you do oranges, I would do that with like beef. But you might like it with fish. Any citric will do that. And I thought about doing my tomatoes with a bit of balsamic, but I'm kind of just going to drink some red wine and that'll be my balsamic. But no. The only reason I didn't, again, flavor profiles. We're doing a lot of flavor profiles with this particular dish. And I don't want to overwhelm the palate. So keep it subtle, keep it nice. Alrighty, that is it. Mediterranean fish tacos. Served, done, over. And the great part about it is when you mix it in your own containers there, you don't even have to worry about putting away your leftovers. So good. Alrighty guys, we are done. I'll post the whole recipe for y'all. You can see a good shot of it there. Great fish tacos. There's a little twist on some fish tacos. I'm serving for two tonight. Alright, have a good evening. I'll see some of you at my road shows, hopefully. And if you have any questions, feel free to text or email. Alright, y'all. Be blessed.